You know, summarizing a story, it feels like just another school assignment, right? Well, what if it was more than that? Today, we're going to break down a really unique 6th grade lesson that transforms this simple skill into a tool for finding what really matters. Let's dive in.
So, what's really cool is how this lesson kicks off. It doesn't just throw a dry definition at you. No, it starts with this beautiful and powerful metaphor. The whole thing is framed around this idea of trimming the branches.
I mean, just listen to that. It really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? A story, just like a tree, has this core truth. But if you have too many extra details, all those branches, you can totally lose the main point. So, summarizing is all about trimming away the clutter to find that center and just let the message breathe. Such a cool way to frame it, right?
Okay, so that's the poetry, the big idea. But how do we actually do it? Let's get practical and break down what the art of a summary really is and, maybe more importantly, what it's not.
All right, here's the official definition the lesson gives us. A short version tells the main idea and the most important details. But this last part, this is absolutely key. In your own words. This isn't about copy-pasting. It's about you actually thinking through the information and then retelling its essence. And this is where it gets super clear. Look at these two columns. On one side, you've got what a summary is, the main idea, the important stuff, in your own words, and on the other, what it isn't. This is crucial. It's not the place for your personal opinions or tiny little side notes or just pull in exact quotes. The big takeaway here is that you're supposed to be an objective reporter of the text's core message, not a commentator.
All right, so we've got the theory down, but what does this look like in the wild? The lesson gives us this great little example so we can see what to keep and what to toss out.
Okay, let's meet Maria. Here's her little story. Maria went to the park. She wore a yellow dress, which is her favorite color. She found a hurt bird and called the animal shelter. Then she told her sister and watched a TV show.
Okay, so before we go any further, just think for a second. If you had to trim this story down, what's the absolute core of it? What are those extra branches that, aren't totally necessary?
All right, let's get out our trimming shears. That yellow dress, and it being her favorite color, yeah, that's a branch. It's a nice detail for sure, but it's not the main point of the story. And her telling her sister and watching TV, that stuff happens after the main event is over. So, snip, snip, those are branches too.
And look what happens when we trim away all that extra stuff. We're left with this one simple, powerful sentence. That's it. Maria found a hurt bird and called the animal shelter. That's the core truth, the center, just like that poem was talking about.
Okay, and this is where the lesson takes a really interesting turn. We're about to pivot from just a simple English skill to something, well, a lot bigger. It connects this whole idea of summarizing to finding what the lesson calls the conclusion of the matter.
This phrase actually comes from the Bible, from the book of Ecclesiastes. Now, Ecclesiastes is basically this long philosophical search for the meaning of life, and this line, here's the conclusion of the matter, it's like the drum roll right before the big reveal. The final, essential truth is coming. So, that brings us to the big question the lesson wants us to think about. How is what we just did with Maria's little story? How is that anything like finding the ultimate point of, well, everything? Well, here's the connection the lesson makes. It's actually a pretty direct parallel. Just like we trim down Maria's story to its essential action, the lesson says the book of Ecclesiastes trims down its whole long search to one final summary: trust and obey God. So, you see, the skill of summarizing a text becomes this metaphor for finding life's main point.
But why? Why teach an English lesson this way? Well, this approach isn't random. It's actually rooted in a very specific philosophy about what education is for and how it connects to morality.
And to get that why, you got to look at where this lesson comes from. It's part of a curriculum series that's all about intentionally mixing academic skills with biblical ideas, and it's all built on a very specific foundation. So, here's the core philosophy behind it all. First, the idea that education without morality can actually be a harmful thing. The whole point of getting smart in this view is so you can make good choices. It even pulls in another Bible verse from Romans to say that a spiritual focus leads to peace. So when you put it all together, summarizing isn't just for schoolwork. No, it's taught as this life skill, a way to help you focus on what's truly essential, whether you're reading a book or, living your life. It's a really fascinating way to teach, isn't it? Taking a simple skill and framing it as a tool for something so much bigger. And it leaves us with this question that's relevant to all of us, no matter what we believe.
I mean, we live in an age of total information overload, right? We're constantly getting hit with branches. So the ability to find the signal in all that noise, to summarize, it's more important than ever. So I'll leave you with this. What tools do you use to find what's essential in your own life?